Welcome to NeuroMint. Today, we are breaking down how a seemingly isolated event systematically brought our entire, highly interconnected world to a complete and total standstill. I mean, think back to late 2019. Life felt completely normal, right? Busy streets, packed restaurants, millions of people flying around the globe every single day. We took all that connection for granted, never imagining it was actually about to become our absolute biggest vulnerability. Within just a few months, those same bustling cities would go totally silent. Entire economies would just freeze. So, how exactly did that happen? And honestly, what did the early data actually tell us?
We all know the devastating conclusion to this story. But the real question we need to ask is, could the world have stopped it? Were there subtle warning signs hiding right there in plain sight that could have completely changed everything? Were we looking at the right data points, or did we just completely misinterpret how incredibly fast a highly connected world could spread a brand new pathogen?
Let's trace this back to late December 2019. The clinical clues and early international alerts quietly kicked off a ticking clock. On December 27th, a doctor at a Hubei provincial hospital made the very first report of a novel disease. Literally the next day, the 28th, the complete viral genome was sequenced. By the 30th, international alerts were already going out via flu trackers and ProMed. So, the wheels were already in motion well before the World Health Organization was even officially alerted on New Year's Eve.
Section 1. The first warning signs.
Going back to those very first anomalies emerging from Wuhan hospitals, the subtle data points were actually piling up way before the broader public had any clue. On New Year's Eve, officials confirmed just 27 cases of a viral pneumonia with an unknown cause. Only 7 were serious. But man, that tiny number masked a massive underlying threat. The official message at the time was pretty reassuring. No fatalities, no healthcare workers infected, and crucially, no obvious signs of human-to-human transmission. But as we're going to see, the virus was already operating leaps and bounds ahead of those early stats.
Section 2. Unlocking the viral genome. So as January unfolds, scientists are in this unprecedented race against time to isolate the pathogen and figure out its true potential. Using the early data, researchers quickly calculated an estimated basic reproduction number, what we call the R0, of 2.2. This was huge. It firmly established that sustained, exponential human-to-human transmission was absolutely already happening. Basically, every single infected person was, on average, passing it to more than 2 other people. The scientific response was incredibly rapid here. It showed that data from this early outbreak had transmission characteristics dangerously similar to the 1918 pandemic flu and even the 2002 SARS outbreak. The math was already telling a very clear story of sustained, highly contagious transmission carrying a massive risk of spreading globally.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the focus on the dispersion parameter, known as K. Statistically, this validated a terrifying risk. Rare, but totally explosive, super spreading event. See, an R0 of 2.2 just tells us the average, but a low dispersion parameter. That means while some infected people might not pass the virus on at all, a tiny handful of people could be responsible for a massive, disproportionate number of secondary cases. This invisible super spreading result is a massive risk.
Section 3. This silent global escape. But while scientists are busy cracking the genetic code and running these transmission models, the virus was already slipping right past international borders with invisible ease. Because the symptoms took days to show up, if they showed up at all, traditional stuff like airport temperature checks were basically useless. The Diamond Princess cruise ship is actually a perfect microcosm of this containment failure. On board that ship, the virus found a completely closed environment, and that led to an astronomical transmission rate, talking an R0 of 14.8. And here's the staggering part. 46.5% of the infected individuals were completely asymptomatic when we were tested. On top of that, the virus was rapidly evolving under positive selection pressure. We saw 24 new viral mutations spring up and spread rapidly just during that quarantine alone.
So that brings us to an absolutely crucial point, this concept of silent pneumonia. Medical officers looking at the Diamond Princess patients discovered that the virus was severely damaging people's lungs, literally showing up as frosted glass-like shadows on a CT scan, while the patients themselves felt completely fine. This asymptomatic progression is exactly what made border containment practically impossible. I mean, you literally can't stop a carrier who doesn't even know they're carrying anything.
Section 4. Rapid acceleration in Europe. This stealthy, completely asymptomatic spread set the stage for a truly devastating tipping point. Contrast the cautious, localized tracking we saw in early January, where human-to-human transmission was still considered limited or unconfirmed, against the sudden, terrifying reality of the outbreak just violently striking the heart of Europe a few weeks later. The timeline from unconfirmed transmission to entire societies being completely locked down was jarringly brief. Italy really shattered the illusion of containment, didn't it? Suddenly, those abstract data points turned into deeply, deeply human tragedies. Hospitals in northern Italy found themselves completely overwhelmed. Doctors were forced to make impossible decisions as intensive care units filled up in the blink of an eye. Panic set in, leading to what local media straight up described as an assault on supermarkets. In a single 24-hour period, an unbelievable 627 deaths were recorded. And the cinematic, terrifyingly real images of military vehicles being deployed just to transport victims, it shocked the globe. It proved that if this could happen to a robust European healthcare system, it could absolutely happen anywhere.
Section 5. The world stands still. The exponential spread, driven by those super spreader events and the silent pneumonia you just talked about, basically left global leaders with only one option: a full, unprecedented global shutdown. On March 11th, the outbreak was officially declared a pandemic. The WHO cited deep concern over the alarming levels of spread, severity, and inaction. That heavy word immediately froze global economies. Schools closed, borders tightened, and usually crowded city streets stayed nearly completely empty. The interconnected world we loved and took for granted was suddenly our greatest vulnerability. Yet even as humanity retreated indoors and daily life wound to an absolute halt, an unprecedented counteroffensive, dubbed Operation Warp Speed, was launched by scientists all over the world. Building on that genomic sequencing that was completed way back on December 28th, massive, globally coordinated research efforts got underway. We saw some truly incredible divergent innovation to stop the threat. For example, while Pfizer and Moderna utilized single-stranded RNA wrapped in lipid nanoparticles, the Oxford AstraZeneca team created a completely different blueprint utilizing a modified chimpanzee adenovirus. Basically, they took a harmless virus and loaded it with double-stranded DNA. This delivered the genetic instructions for the coronavirus spike protein directly into our cells, essentially teaching our bodies exactly how to fight back, without actually causing the disease itself. Brilliant stuff. When you look back at the data from December 2019, that initial cluster of 27, the R0 of 2.2, the high dispersion potential, the asymptomatic spread we clearly saw in the Diamond Princess, all of it shows us that the ticking clock was visible. It was right there for those who knew where to look. We now have the tools and the historical data to understand exactly how a localized event can become a global standstill. So the ultimate question to leave you with today is this: when the next set of data anomalies appears on a hospital monitors, that new variant is called the Omicron, and it would change everything. It was a literal game changer, completely upending our lives and systems all over again. Late 2021, scientists spotted it, and with over 50 mutations, it set off massive alarm bells worldwide. It moved unbelievably fast, way quicker than Alpha or Delta, tearing across continents in just weeks. But the story wasn't over. Millions who managed to avoid the virus were suddenly testing positive, completely shattering records. What happened next surprised experts. We saw this crucial infections absolutely skyrocket. Thankfully, the intelligence was described the same way.
Yet another challenge was emerging. Beyond physical illness, heavy emotional toll of isolation, deep anxiety, grief was immense. Unprecedented economic shock was all. Supply chains totally broke down. Global inflation soared. Consequences would last for years. Even as life-saving medical teams expanded, a deeply divisive wave of vital misinformation led to trust. Few people understood what this meant. Fast forward to 2023. Growing global immunity finally let February shut, uncovered by emergency. So, how will these exposed global vulnerabilities shape our preparation for inevitable future threats? The answer can change everything. Always remember that two safety, only to your pulse, and being exhausted. Pandemic, we have both enjoyed and given service and exposed weaknesses, challenged institutions, changed lives forever. Yet it also demonstrated the extraordinary power of science, cooperation, and determination.
The lessons of those years will shape generations to come. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is that in an interconnected world, the fate of one community can quickly become the fate of us all.
Thank you for watching Neural Mint.